We hear a lot about Islamophobia today, and indeed it's a really difficult and challenging issue. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the launch of a report called Islamophobia, A Challenge for Us All. This report that came out in 1997, produced by the Runnymede Trust, is the report that popularised the term Islamophobia. Today I'm going to be talking to Richard Stone, who was one of the members of the commission that produced the report, and someone that played a pivotal role in this work, as well as subsequent work on Islamophobia. Tell us about your involvement in the original Commission on British Muslims and Islamophobia.
Well, I retired early at 55 from being a GP in central London. The Runnymede Trust in 1995 decided they must get into religious discrimination as well as racist discrimination. They decided they would do a commission on British Jews and anti-Semitism. And
So that was 95?
95, yeah.
Right.
And they produced a report in 97. Jack Straw, one of the first things he did was to launch it. Quite interesting. This, on the Islamophobic Anti-Semitism Commission, they had Jewish and non-Jewish commissioners. One of the non-Jewish commissioners was Professor Akbar Ahmed, who you may know. He met Rabbi Julian Neuberger on the commission, and they realised the parallels between anti-Muslim and anti-Jewish prejudices. The result was they insisted there should be a recommendation of the commission that the Runnymede Trust should then do a similar exercise in the Muslim communities. And I was then been free from general practice for about 4 years, so people could say, would you come on this commission? And I was very honoured to do it.
So the original commission on anti-Semitism, one of the recommendations was that there should be something similar on Islamophobia.
That's right, exactly. So I said yes, and it was wonderful because I went around visiting Muslim communities around Britain, in small places, big places, and being introduced to Muslims by Muslim commissioners. And the thing I took away from that commission, really, above anything else, was the low level of anti-Muslim prejudices. So people were saying things to us in almost every centre we went to. They said, well, how do people react to having Muslims in their communities? They say, well, they spit on you and they call you names, and they're very violent. There's nothing very, very violent. It's just that it's nasty. I said, well, that's all actually against the law. You can't do that sort of thing in this country. And they would say to me, yes, but British people are like that, And that it was devastating for me to realise that was how Muslim people in this country looked on the British.
And even the term Islamophobia was, at that time, I remember, there was a huge debate about whether you use that term or not. What was that like?
That was, it says here very nicely what we did here. A new word is gaining currency, which evokes the outlook and the worldview of this officer in the army. The word is Islamophobia. It was coined in the late 1980s. Its first known use in print was in February 1991 in a periodical of the United States. The word is not ideal, but it recognisably similar to xenophobia and Europhobia. It's a useful shorthand way of referring to dread or hatred of Islam, and therefore to fear or dislike of all or most Muslims. Such dread and dislike have existed in Western countries and cultures for several centuries. So that was, so it's a difficult word. It doesn't adequately cover the actual range of anti-Muslim prejudice. But you can't talk about anti-Muslim prejudice all the time. You've got to have one word.
Yeah, you've got to have something more simple.
And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, if anybody comes along with a better word, I'm quite happy to use it.
Yeah. Tell me more about your personal role in all of this then. First of all, what do you do? I mean, you mentioned that you went around speaking to people and listening to people. What else was it like to be on this commission? And also, how did that change you? Did it have an impact on you?
Yes, enormous impact on me. So I met Muslims obviously as patients in my surgery. A lot of particularly Bangladeshi homeless families who moved from the East End to the West End of London, where I was in the West End. and they were very disadvantaged people. Often their wives didn't speak any English, for our husbands speak a bit of English, and it was very difficult. But they were obviously Muslim people, and we had to find ways to respond to their needs. It was quite a difficult problem.
And when did the second report come out?
The second report came out about 2004.
Right.
So it was really three years' work, part-time. But I was also trying to do the Stephen Lawrence as well.
Yeah, sure. And that was chaired by yourself, that commission, was it?
The second commission, yes.
Yeah.
There was nobody else to chair it, so I chaired it. And I would introduce myself to a room full of Muslims and some white people, majority people as well at the same time. As Dr. Stone, I'm also chair of the Islamophobia Commission and the Jewish Council for Racial Equality. So people knew what my background was.
Sure.
And it was funny because people came up to me afterwards, after the meetings, they say, Dr. Stone, Dr. Richard, and he said, tell me, this Jewish Council, can we meet again, please?
Right.
I thought, what do they want to talk about the Jewish Council for Racial Equality for? It seems so bizarre. And then Sajid filled me in. He said, you must understand that 80% of the Muslims in the country at the time were from former India, before the partition. And most of them had never met a Jew.
Right.
And they thought, he said, I've had two sorts of views of Jews. There was the golden age of Islam, and the golden age of Jews, when Jews were living in Muslim lands, Middle Ages and so on. And then the other thing, on the other hand, they somehow got tails and the horns, and and they controlled all the media in the United States and the whole world, somehow or another. So they got positive stereotypes and negative stereotypes of Jews, and they felt, here's somebody who's obviously sympathetic to their cause, the cause of Muslims in this country.
So what was it like being a Jewish person working on this? I mean, obviously you said you'd originally worked on the Runnymede Trust had worked on the anti-Semitism report. But as a Jewish person working on something that was a report about Islamophobia, what was that like? What was that dynamic like for you?
Fine. I mean, I really felt it was a very positive thing that I was as a Jew. I'd come out as a Jew, if you see what I mean. Come out and outed myself by telling when I was also chair of the Jewish Council, which it just was in 1996. I was actually first elected to be chair of the J Corps. It's a very quiet phase at that stage, and so it was wonderful. It seemed to me that it was a good thing, and I brought other Jews in as well. And as you probably know, as you know very well, obviously, because you were involved in it too. Yeah, I followed up on those contacts and started getting Muslims and Jews to meet together.
That's right.
I felt this was a new way of dealing with racism in this country. And
that's when we worked together on Alif Aleph and other projects. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And did people around you, I don't know, colleagues, relatives, friends, did they find it strange that this Jewish person is working on this Muslim report?
No, I think most of my family saw the links. Certainly my immediate family did. But yes, I mean, people said to me, why do you bother so much with all these black people and these Muslims when there's so much to do in the Jewish community? And I said to him, my response to that was, there's plenty of Jews who are prepared to do this voluntary work within the Jewish community. My thinking was this: something like, if there's a definable group of people to whom you have a responsibility, and you're giving them a second-class service, like a doctor gives a second-class service to people because they're black or they're Muslim, whatever they may be, then you have a responsibility really to make sure that you actually do not do that. You've got to give them the same service. Everybody's got to have the same sort of service.
So it was that notion of equality and...
I think that was it. It's really...
justice and fairness. These are the sorts of
that's right, yes,
motivations that were really driving you.
Yeah.
How did Muslims see that? I mean, the people that you were addressing and meeting in the conferences.
Oh, they all loved it. They were so pleased to meet a Jew who was interested in what their lives, and they all were very, very, very helpful, very good, constructive people, wonderful people, lovely people.
And over this time period, from 20 years to the second report to where we are today, how do you think things have changed? How do you think things have moved on?
As far as I'm concerned, I think that Islamophobia is as it was when we produced our first report. In fact, it's much worse now, I think, in many ways. I think that there's not enough people are prepared to make the effort to meet people from different backgrounds.
And of course, the original report came out pre 9/11, and post 9/11, many things have changed, and all sorts of twists and turns in the landscape. What do you think? What do you think we can do? I mean, is there something? I mean, I'm sure there's no silver bullet for this sort of problem, but what are the sorts of things that we can start to do to try to make things better?
Well, you could look at all the recommendations, and they're still as valid now as they were then, I think you'll find. First report.
Is there a simple thing that ordinary people can do? I mean, of course, some of the recommendations are about institutions and government, but in terms of ordinary citizens, is there something I think
it's really my view on racism. Having been on the Runnymede Trust, and then the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, I tried to bring together what can we do? What can we do? And I think that the best thing that's happened really for me was to be introduced to people from the Muslim communities. And I realise now that if there's a community in Britain under pressure, then we who are not members of that community must look for other people who will be interested in meeting with people from that community. And then we go meet with them, ask them how they're going, ask them how long they've been here, how they come to be here, because they've got the common threads. Lots of reasons why we all came to this country. We often came for very similar reasons, actually.
Yeah.
So I sort of felt that...
So getting to know each other better, finding out more about each other.
So what I really need to do, what I'm really getting at is that in order to deal with racism or any anybody, gays or women, lesbians, it's the same sort of thing. Just go and meet people.
Any other final things you would like to say?
I must say that I've received huge amounts of warmth and respect from Muslims. It's fantastic, really. Some of the best people in this country are Muslims, and it's a privilege, really, to be able to be asked to be asking me to speak now for a Muslim organisation.
It's
wonderful.